The stars above Zalari Prime shone cold and distant as the royal ship left the capital. Inside the ship, Princess Arali sat quietly, her eyes staring out the window. Her silver eyes reflected the stars, but she did not feel their light. Her heart was heavy. She had been given away. The royal court had decided she was no longer needed. Arali was born different. Unlike her sisters, she had no sign of fertility. Doctors tested her again and again, but the results were the same. She could not bear children. In Zalari society, that meant she had no future in the royal line. The war with Earth had ended months ago. The humans had fought bravely, and the Zalari lost. Now, to make peace, the king offered gifts. Ships, gold, and technology were given. But one gift was strange. Princess Arali. The humans had not asked for her. The king offered her without warning. "Let her live among them," he said. "She is no use here. Perhaps she will find a place there." Arali did not cry. She held her head high, but inside she felt small and alone. The ship landed in a quiet part of Earth. A human man named Ethan was there to meet her. He was not a soldier or a leader. He worked with the Earth Zalari cultural program. He had soft brown hair, kind eyes, and a simple smile. "Welcome to Earth," he said, offering his hand. Arali did not take it. She walked past him, silent. Ethan did not get upset. He simply followed and helped with her things. Her new home was a small house near the edge of a forest. It was nothing like the palace. The walls were plain. The rooms were small, but it was quiet and warm. At first, Arali spoke very little. She stayed in her room and looked out the window. Ethan cooked meals and left them at her door. He talked to her kindly, never pushing her. "You can come out whenever you like," he said one day. "No one will force you." Slowly, Arali began to explore the house. She watched Ethan fix things and tend to the garden. He played music in the evenings, soft and gentle songs. One night, she stood at the door and listened. Ethan saw her and smiled. "Do you like it?" he asked. She nodded once. They started to speak more. Arali told him about Zalari, about the palace, about being sent away. Ethan listened without judgment. "That must have been hard," he said. "I can't imagine how you felt." "I was called Barren," she said. "That means worthless." "Not here," Ethan said. "Not to me." Arali looked at him. No one had ever said that to her before. Days turned to weeks. Arali began to smile. She helped in the garden. She watched old Earth films and laughed at the silly parts. Ethan showed her how to cook simple meals. They sat together in the evenings, talking about stars, music, and dreams. One rainy night, they sat close by the fireplace. Arali looked into Ethan's eyes. "Why are you kind to me?" she asked. "Because I want to be," he said. "Because I see you. Not a gift, not a problem. Just you." Tears filled her eyes. She reached out and held his hand. Something changed that night. A bond grew between them. It was not sudden. It was quiet, like rain on the roof. But it was strong. Neither of them knew then that this was only the beginning of something much bigger than themselves. Ethan did not know much about aliens. He had seen pictures, read articles, and watched some news. But nothing could prepare him for living with one. Princess Arali was different from what he expected. She was quiet, careful, and always seemed a little sad. She never asked for anything. She barely spoke. But when she did, her voice was soft, almost like music. At first, Ethan gave her space. He thought she needed time. She had come from far away. Her people had sent her as a gift. But it didn't feel right. She was not a thing to be given. She was a person. Ethan could see it in her eyes. They were deep and dark, full of pain she never spoke about. One morning, Ethan made pancakes. He placed a plate in front of her. She looked at it, unsure. He smiled and said, "Try it. It's sweet. I think you'll like it." She picked up the fork slowly, cut a small piece, and tasted it. Her eyes lit up for a moment. That was the first time Ethan saw her smile. A real smile. Small but honest. "You like it?" he asked. "Yes," she said. Just one word. But it was a beginning. From that day, things started to change. She began sitting at the table with him. She watched him cook, sometimes pointing at things, asking their names. Ethan would tell her, bread, butter, knife. She repeated the words. Slowly, she started learning, and she started talking more. One afternoon, they sat outside. The sky was clear, the wind soft. Arali looked up and said, "Your world is very calm." Ethan laughed. "Not always, but I'm glad it feels that way to you. My world is loud, cold, no green trees, no birds, always metal, always rules." Ethan looked at her. "Do you miss it?" She was silent for a while. "No. They said I was broken, not fit for future, not able to give life, so I was given away." Ethan felt his chest tighten. He had guessed something like that. She had been sent because they thought she could not have children. Maybe they saw her as useless. But she was not to him. "You're not broken," he said softly. She looked at him, confused. "You're smart, kind, brave." They were wrong. Arali did not answer, but her eyes were wet. She quickly wiped them and looked away. Ethan didn't press. He knew she needed time. Days passed. She grew more comfortable. She helped around the house. She liked folding laundry. She said it made her feel calm. She also liked flowers. She would sit and touch the petals gently, as if afraid they would break. One night, a storm hit. Loud thunder shook the house. Arali cried out and curled into a ball. Ethan ran to her. She was shaking. Her hands covered her head. "It's okay. It's just thunder. It won't hurt you." She didn't understand. She kept shaking. Ethan sat beside her, pulled a blanket over them both, and held her gently. She was cold and tense. "I'm here," he said. "You're safe." Slowly, she stopped shaking. Her breathing slowed. She looked at him with wide eyes. "No hurt?" she asked. "No hurt," Ethan said. She leaned against him and closed her eyes. That night, she slept beside him for the first time. From that point on, something changed between them. She stayed close to him. She followed him in the garden, asked questions about the stars, the animals, even the cars on the road. He answered all he could. She laughed once when he tripped over a rake. It was a real laugh. He laughed too, happy to see her smile again. "You laugh," he said. "It is strange," she replied. "But good," Ethan said. She nodded. One evening, they sat on the porch. The sun was going down, painting the sky with orange and pink. Arali leaned her head on Ethan's shoulder. "You are kind," she said. "So are you." She looked up at him. Her eyes searched his face. "Why are you kind to me?" "Because you deserve it." She was silent for a long moment. Then she said, "I want to stay. I don't want to go back." Ethan looked at her. "You don't have to go back. You're free here. You can choose." She smiled again. "Then I choose this." They sat in silence as the stars came out. Something gentle had begun between them. It was not loud or fast, but it was growing like a small seed in good soil. And far away, in another world, someone had started asking where the princess was, and why she had not returned. Weeks passed. Arali was no longer afraid of small things. She smiled more. She talked more. She laughed when Ethan told her jokes, even if she didn't always understand them. She helped plant vegetables in the backyard. Her hands, once used only to touch metal panels, now touched warm soil. One morning, she surprised Ethan. She made him breakfast. The toast was a little burnt, and the eggs were overcooked, but he smiled and ate everything. "You cooked this?" he asked. She nodded proudly. "I watched you. I tried." "It's great," he said with a big smile. "Thank you." Arali sat beside him and watched him eat. Her face looked calm, but there was something in her eyes, something deep and searching. Ethan noticed but said nothing. Later that day, they walked through the nearby town. People stared. Some had never seen an alien up close before, but no one said anything rude. A few smiled. A child even waved at Arali. She looked at the child, unsure at first, then slowly raised her hand and waved back. She was not afraid. Arali said, surprised. "Most people aren't bad," Ethan said. They just don't understand what they don't know. Arali nodded. On my world, we were told that humans are dangerous. And what do you think now? You are not dangerous. You are warm. That evening, something unusual happened. Arali became quiet again. She sat on the porch, her eyes fixed on the stars. Ethan joined her with 2 cups of tea. He handed her one, but she didn't take it. I had a dream last night, she said softly. What kind of dream? There was a small light inside me, like a spark. It kept growing. I was afraid, but also happy. Ethan looked at her. What do you think it means? I don't know, but I feel strange. My body feels different. Ethan felt a small chill in his chest. Do you feel sick? No, she said. Just different. They stayed quiet for a while. Ethan didn't want to push her. He trusted she would speak when she was ready. A few days later, Arali fainted in the garden. Ethan ran to her, lifted her in his arms, and carried her inside. She woke up quickly, but he was worried. You need to see a doctor, he said. I don't trust your doctors. You can trust this one. She's a friend. Arali finally agreed. They went to a small clinic outside the town. Dr. Linda, a kind woman with sharp eyes, checked Arali carefully. She took blood, did scans, and asked questions. Arali answered everything honestly. After an hour, Dr. Linda came out of her office with a shocked face. She's pregnant, she said. Ethan stared at her. What? She's pregnant, Dr. Linda repeated. And from the look of it, about 6 weeks. Ethan looked at Arali. She sat quietly, her hands on her lap. She did not look surprised. I felt something, she said softly. I didn't know what it was. But you said you couldn't. Ethan's voice trailed off. I was told I was barren, Arali said, that I could never carry life. That's why I was given away. Dr. Linda looked confused. Well, whoever said that was wrong. Ethan's head was spinning. A baby? With Arali? He had never even thought that far. Their connection had grown slowly, gently. He cared for her. He respected her. But this was something much bigger. They drove home in silence. That night, Arali sat beside him on the bed. Do you hate me now? She asked. No, Ethan said at once. Of course not. Will you send me back? No, never. She looked at him for a long time. Then she reached out and held his hand. I don't know how this happened, she said, but I'm not afraid. Not with you. Ethan squeezed her hand gently. We'll figure out. Together. As they sat in the quiet night, stars blinking above, they did not know that far away, in a large alien palace, the king had just received news. A message from one of his spies on Earth. A message that said the Barren princess was not barren after all. The king's face turned dark. His hands gripped the arms of his throne. She was meant to vanish, he said coldly. She was meant to disappear from the record. And now she carries a child. A half-human child. His advisor stood silently, afraid to speak. Prepare the ship, the king said. I want her brought back. Now. And so, without knowing, Ethan and Arali were no longer alone. The peace they had built was about to be tested, and the life growing inside Arali would become the center of a coming storm. Arali stood in the garden, her hands resting on her belly. The sun was warm, and the wind carried the soft scent of flowers. Everything looked peaceful, but her heart was not calm. She felt something in the air, a heaviness, as if a storm was waiting nearby. Ethan walked out of the house and joined her. He placed his hand on hers and smiled. Still feeling okay? He asked. Yes, she said, but I had another dream. About the light? Yes, it's brighter now. And louder. Ethan gave her a curious look. Louder? She touched her chest. Not with sound, with feeling. It speaks without words. Ethan didn't fully understand, but he nodded. It's your baby, he said. Maybe it's trying to talk to you in its own way. Arali looked down and gave a small smile. Maybe. That night, while Ethan slept, Arali sat by the window. She looked up at the stars. One of them blinked red. Just once. She blinked back, unsure if it was real or her mind playing tricks. But then she felt it. Something cold, something watching. She stood up and whispered, "They're coming." The next morning, Ethan found her packing a small bag. "What are you doing?" he asked. "They found me. My people, they're coming." Ethan's face grew pale. "How do you know?" "I felt it. I saw the signal. They are near." "Then we run." Ethan said quickly, "No, we can't run. They will find us. They always do." Ethan stepped forward and held her shoulders. "Then we'll hide. I won't let them take you. Or the baby." Arali looked into his eyes. "They will not ask. They will take." Ethan didn't speak. He was angry now, not just afraid. Angry that they would come and try to steal her back like she was nothing. Angry that she was never given a choice. "I'll protect you," he said, "no matter what." That day, they drove far into the woods. Ethan had a friend who owned a cabin, a quiet place hidden by trees. No cameras, no roads nearby. He helped them settle in. Arali looked around. "It's small, but safe," Ethan said, "and warm." She nodded. "Then I like it." For 3 days they stayed inside. Arali rested. Ethan kept watch. He checked the sky often, scanned the stars, and waited. He did not know what a ship would look like, but he knew he would feel it, just like she had. On the 4th night, it came. A strange sound filled the air, not loud, but deep, like a soft drum under the earth. The lights flickered. The ground trembled. Arali stood up fast and grabbed Ethan's hand. "They're here," she said. Ethan opened the door and looked outside. In the sky, above the trees, a large dark shape hovered. It did not shine. It swallowed light. It moved like a shadow across the stars. A beam of blue light shined down on the cabin. Arali screamed and fell to her knees. Her hands gripped her head. "What's wrong?" Ethan shouted. "They are calling me. Pulling me," she cried. Ethan ran to her and pulled her close. "Fight it." "I'm trying. It hurts." The door burst open. 2 tall figures stepped inside. Their skin was silver. Their eyes glowed white. They moved without sound. Ethan stood in front of Arali. "Don't touch her." The first alien spoke. "She is royal property. She must return." "She's not property." Ethan shouted. "She's free. She carries the blood of the line. She must be taken." "No!" Arali cried. "I choose to stay." The second alien raised a hand, and Ethan was thrown back by an invisible force. He hit the wall and groaned in pain. "Do not resist," the alien said. Arali stood up, shaking. Her eyes glowed for the first time. Her voice became strong. "I am not yours. I am not broken. And this child is mine." A wave of energy burst from her body. The alien stepped back, surprised. The beam of blue light disappeared. Outside, the ship made a loud sound and began to shake. She activated something. When the alien said, Ethan struggled to stand. "What's happening?" "She has unlocked the old power," Arali said. "They forgot that I still carry it." The alien stepped back toward the door. One of them looked at Arali with fear. "This is not the end," he said. Then both vanished in a flash of white light. The ship above them made a strange noise and flew away quickly, disappearing into the sky. Ethan ran to Arali and held her tight. "Are you okay?" "Yes," she whispered. "I stopped them. For now." They sat on the floor, breathing hard. The cabin was quiet again, but the peace felt different now. "They'll come back, won't they?" Ethan asked. "Yes," Arali said. "But next time, I will be ready." He looked at her with pride and love. "We'll be ready." Outside, the stars were quiet once more. But something had changed inside Arali. She had found her strength, and now she had something to protect. Ethan drove them back to town the next day. Arali was quiet in the passenger seat. She looked tired, but her eyes were calm. She stared out the window, watching the trees move past. The baby inside her was safe, and that was all that mattered now. Ethan kept glancing at her. "Are you sure you're okay?" She nodded. "I feel stronger. The child is strong, too. I can feel it. He smiled. That's good. They returned to Ethan's home. It felt different now, like it was no longer just a place to live, but a place to protect. Arali moved slowly, touching walls, furniture, and windows as if memorizing everything. I love this home, she said. It feels alive. It's your home now, too, Ethan replied. That night, she sat near the fire. Ethan handed her a cup of warm milk. She held it carefully and looked into the flames. I was never meant to be a mother, she said, but now I feel chosen. Ethan sat beside her. You were never broken. They lied to you. She nodded. Yes, they feared what I might become. That's why they said I was barren. If I had no future, I had no power. But they were wrong, Ethan said. You have both. Arali looked at him. Do you really want to raise this child with me? He reached out and held her hand. I do. I want to build a life with you. Her eyes glowed faintly, and she smiled. As the days passed, Arali and Ethan prepared for the future. They bought supplies, baby clothes, food, blankets. Arali learned more about human care. She watched videos, asked questions, and read books. Ethan taught her how to swaddle a baby using a towel. She laughed when she got it wrong, then tried again. They painted a small room together. Soft green walls, tiny stars on the ceiling. Arali added drawings of her old world, its moons, its towers, and its skies. She said she didn't want the baby to forget where part of them came from. One evening, while Arali was resting, Ethan received a message on his old communication screen. It was not from Earth. The signal was strange. The words translated roughly. Human Ethan, this is Prince Kale. I am Arali's brother. I do not agree with the king's order. I wish to speak with her. Please. Ethan froze. He looked at Arali, asleep on the couch. He thought about ignoring the message. But what if it was important? He replied, Why do you want to speak to her? The answer came quickly. Because she has what belongs to us. And because I want to help. Ethan turned off the screen. He did not trust his prince, but he did not want to hide the message. The next morning, he told Arali. She listened quietly. Then she said, Kale was once kind to me, before he became afraid. Do you want to speak with him? No, she said. If he truly wants a help, he will show it through actions, not words. That day, Ethan installed stronger locks on the doors. He added cameras and lights. Friend from town helped. No one asked questions. They had heard about the strange ship in the forest, and they believed Ethan when he said something was coming. 3 more weeks passed. Arali's belly grew. She walked slower now, but her spirit was strong. She spoke to the baby each night in her own language, whispering words of love and stories from both worlds. One night, while Ethan was reading in bed, Arali touched his arm. I think the baby is almost ready, she said. He looked at her, surprised. Are you sure? Yes, she said. My body knows. He nodded and placed his hand gently on her belly. The baby moved. That's amazing, he whispered. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Arali's face turned serious. Not again, Ethan said, standing up fast. Arali shook her head. No ship. Something else. They rushed outside. In the sky, a different light moved. It was smaller, slower. A single craft, not like the large one before. It landed far from the house, near the forest. A moment later, a figure stepped out, alone, not armed. Arali stepped forward. It's Kale. You sure? Yes. Kale walked slowly, hands open. He stopped a few feet away and bowed his head. I came alone. I will not harm you. Ethan stayed close to Arali. Why are you here? I saw what our father did. I disagree. I want peace. Arali looked at him carefully. Peace does not come with words. It comes with change. Kale nodded. I can offer something. A safe place. Protection. For the child. Ethan frowned. We already have that. Not if the king comes again, Kale said. He won't stop. Arali stepped forward. And what do you want in return? Nothing, Kale said. Just a chance to make it right. She stared at him for a long time, then said, "I will decide. Not now, but soon." Kale bowed again. "I will wait." He turned and walked back into the forest. Ethan looked at her Raleigh. "Do you trust him?" "I don't know," she said. "But for the baby's future, I must listen." Raleigh could feel it. The time was very close. Her body was changing. Her thoughts were slower now, focused on the child inside her. Every small movement from the baby felt stronger, more real. She placed her hand on her belly and whispered, "Soon, little one, soon you will see the world." Ethan stayed close. He cooked, cleaned, and helped her walk when she felt tired. He watched over her every night, sleeping lightly, always ready if she needed him. "I've never done this before," he said once. "Me neither," Raleigh replied with a soft smile. "But we will learn." One evening, she stood in the baby's room and looked at the green walls. She ran her hand over a drawing of her home planet's twin moons. Then she turned to Ethan. "Have you thought of a name?" she asked. "I thought you should choose." She nodded. "Then I will pick one from each world. One human name, one alien name. Together." "I like that." Outside, the sky was cloudy. Rain tapped softly on the windows. The house was quiet, but in the silence, Ethan felt something strange, like a low pressure or a soft sound far away. He checked the cameras. Nothing moved. Still, he felt it. Later that night, Raleigh woke up in pain. She gasped, holding her belly. "It's time," she whispered. Ethan jumped out of bed. Okay, we're ready." He had already prepared everything. A clean space, warm water, towels, and emergency contacts. Raleigh sat down, breathing deeply. The pain came and went like waves. She stayed calm, her eyes strong. "You're doing great," Ethan said. "Just keep breathing." Hours passed. The storm outside grew stronger. Thunder rolled in the distance. But inside, a different kind of storm was happening. A birth, a beginning. Finally, a cry broke the silence. Ethan held the tiny baby in his hands, eyes wide with wonder. The child had soft skin, slightly glowing, and dark eyes like Raleigh's. But its hands were small and human. "A girl," he whispered. "She's beautiful." Raleigh reached out and took her daughter into her arms. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "She is light," Raleigh said. "She is hope." They wrapped the baby in a soft quilt and sat together in the quiet room. Ethan held Raleigh close. She leaned her head on his shoulder. "We did it," he said. "No," Raleigh replied. "She did it." Just as they began to rest, a light flashed outside the window. Not thunder, not lightning. It was a ship. Ethan stood up fast. "Already?" Raleigh nodded. "He's here." They both knew it had to be the king. The ship landed near the trees. It was the same dark one that came before. Ethan held his daughter tighter. "We can't let them take her." "They won't," Raleigh said. She stood slowly, holding the baby. Her body was weak, but her spirit was strong. The door opened and the king stepped out. He wore a long black robe. His face was hard. His eyes were cold. "So it is true," he said. "You gave birth." "I did," Raleigh said, her voice clear, "to a child that does not belong to us. She belongs to both of us. And she is mine, not yours." The king stepped closer. "Give her to me. I will raise her as a true royal." "No," Raleigh said. "You lost that right when you gave me away." Ethan stood beside her. "Leave. You're not welcome here." The king looked at Ethan with disgust. "You are nothing." "I am her choice," Ethan said, "and she is mine." The king lifted his hand. A beam of energy formed in his palm. Raleigh stepped forward. "If you harm him, you lose everything." "She is my blood," the king said. "She is the next heir." "No," Raleigh replied. "She is her own future." At that moment, the baby opened her eyes. A bright light flashed around them. The king stepped back, blinded. "What is this?" he shouted. "The child holds both powers," Raleigh said. "Yours and his. And more. She is balance." The king looked shocked. This cannot be. Arali stepped closer. Leave now, or she will show you what she can do. The baby blinked again. A second flash of light filled the air. Trees shook. The ground trembled. The king fell to his knees. I see now, he said. She is beyond us. He stood up slowly, eyes wide. You have made your choice. I will not return, but others may. Arali nodded. Then we will be ready. The king turned, walked back to his ship, and disappeared into the sky. Ethan closed the door and locked it. He turned to Arali and kissed her forehead. You were amazing. So was she, Arali whispered, looking at the baby. They sat together, the three of them, in the quiet house. The storm was over, for now, but they all knew the world had changed, and the future would never be the same. Months passed. Winter came, covering the world in white snow. The house was warm. Inside, Ethan, Arali, and their baby girl lived a quiet life. Her name was Lyra. It was a name from Arali's world, meaning new light. They also gave her a human name. Hope. Lyra Hope. Lyra grew fast. Her eyes followed everything. Her hands reached for the stars painted on the ceiling. She laughed when Ethan made silly faces and fell asleep listening to Arali's soft songs in her old language. Arali was happy. For the first time in her life, she felt complete. She had a home, a family, and a daughter who carried both worlds inside her. Ethan often sat by the fire, holding Lyra and watching Arali read. He still couldn't believe how much had changed. A year ago, he was alone. Now he was a father, a protector, a partner. But peace never lasted forever. One evening, a soft hum filled the sky. It was not loud, just a quiet reminder that others were still watching. Arali looked up and said, Someone is coming. Ethan checked the screens. A small ship hovered in the distance but didn't land. They're waiting, he said. That night, Kale returned. He came alone again and walked slowly toward the porch. Arali stood outside, holding Lyra. Kale bowed deeply. I come in peace. And with news. Arali nodded. Speak. The king is gone. He stepped down. Many in the council saw what happened. They saw the light. They believe now that Lyra is special. Not a mistake. Not a danger. But a future. Ethan stepped beside Arali. What do they want? To offer her a place. Not as a weapon. Not as a tool. As a bridge. A voice between our world and yours. Arali was quiet. Lyra moved in her arms, reaching toward Kale with her small glowing fingers. She chooses peace, Arali said softly. But she will not be taken. She will grow here. With us. Kale nodded. I understand. But one day, she may wish to see her other home. When she is ready, the doors will be open. He placed a small crystal on the table. This will show her our world when the time comes. Teach her well. Then he turned and left. His ship disappeared into stars. Ethan picked up the crystal and held it in his hand. What do you think she'll choose? I think, Arali said, she will choose both. And maybe neither. She will make her own way. The next few weeks were quiet again. Ethan built a small swing in the backyard. Arali showed Lyra how to feel the trees, how to listen to the wind. Lyra loved the snow. She laughed when it landed on her nose. One morning, Ethan found Arali sitting outside alone, her face thoughtful. What is it? He asked. I think we are safe now, she said. But I also think we will never be forgotten. Ethan sat beside her. That's okay. We didn't ask to hide. We just asked to live. Arali smiled. And we are... Spring came. Flowers bloomed. Lyra took her first steps. She walked from Ethan to Arali, giggling all the way. Her feet were steady. Her eyes bright. She's strong, Ethan said. She's everything I never thought I could have, Arali whispered. One night, Lyra looked up at the stars and pointed. Home, she asked. Yes, Arali said. One of them. And here's the other. Lyra nodded, as if she understood. As time moved on, the world did not forget the strange light in the sky. People told stories. Some believed. Some did not. But Ethan and Arali didn't care. They knew the truth. They raised Lyra with love. She learned both languages. She learned how to plant a tree and how to hold a crystal. She learned to be kind, to be strong, and always choose her own path. Years later, when Lyra stood at the edge of the forest, holding the crystal in her hand, she turned to her parents. "Can I go?" she asked. Ethan looked at Arali. Arali smiled. "Yes, but come back." Lyra hugged them both. "I will." She stepped into the light and vanished into the stars. And in a quiet home filled with warmth and memories, Ethan and Arali held each other, proud and full of hope, because once a broken princess was given away. But she found love, she found strength, and she gave life to a future neither world expected.